You say that's the right thing, but I see you all the time.
Hey everyone, my name is Allie and welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about some of the spookier reads that I'm going to read within the last part of October. So since the Latinx Book Bingo Readathon is going to be over soon, I kind of wanted to put together a stack of books that I figured I would want to read for the spookier season. Since I've been into Halloween a little bit more than I have been in like the past years, I figured I would want to read something a little bit more spooky for this time of the year. So the first book that I have is The Madman's Daughter by Megan Shepherd, and this is kind of a backlist title. It's pretty old, but this is one I've had my eye on for so long, and it's always been on like my TBR or my prospective TBR. So basically it's about a girl named Juliet, and she's living in England, and her father is kind of this sort of mad scientist. And when she finds out that he's actually still alive and living on this remote island, she takes her father's assistant and a castaway over to the island, and they have to see what her father's doing. And basically this kind of seems similar to like a Frankenstein-esque sort of story where there's a mad scientist, there's some kind of horrific experiments happening, and it seems like something that I would really enjoy. It is a historical fiction book, which is something I love, and it's also horror as well, which is not something I'm super familiar with, but I'm really excited to try it out, especially with this book. I think that this one is something that I could really enjoy, and it does kind of give me a little bit of vibes of Stalking Jack the Ripper, which is really good because I love that book. The next book is another one that I've really been wanting to read for like so long, and it's If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio, and this one has something to do with Shakespeare, which is always a good sign for me. Sorry, I just had to like fix the lighting for a second because it seemed a little too bright. But basically this is about a Shakespeare troupe, and they are kind of entangled in this murder mystery. And it seems like it's kind of told through the perspective of being in the present, talking about the past, and that's really intriguing. And I've heard so many good things about this book recently. I feel like so many of my friends and people that I trust are reading this book or have read it in the past few months. So I feel like October, especially the end of October, is kind of the perfect time to read a book like this. I feel like with a lot of these books, they're part of genres that I'm not totally familiar with. I don't really read a lot of, say, horror books or murder mystery books. There are a few that I enjoy, like I could probably count them on one hand, but I typically don't go into those genres. So it's going to be really interesting to dive into a genre that I'm definitely not familiar with at all. Like I don't know any of sort of the tropes that I should be looking out for or anything I should expect about these kind of books, so it's going to be really interesting. The next one is part of a genre I'm a little bit more familiar with, and that is The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black. And this is another backlist title that I'm really excited about. From reading the back of the book, it kind of seems like a twist between fairies and Snow White, but if Snow White was a boy or a prince, I guess. And it just seems really interesting. I guess it's about these two, this brother and sister, and they're very used to having this prince in the coffin. And it seems like one day the prince wakes up from his sleeping death and they kind of have to deal with all of that. I'm not really sure what happens in this book. I feel like I've never really heard any specific spoilers about this book. I'm pretty sure though that Holly Black's books kind of exist in a similar or the very same universe, so it'll be really interesting to kind of go back into Holly Black's catalog and read this book, because I remember hearing a bunch about it like years ago, but I just never heard anyone talk specifics about the book, so I'm really excited to experience it for myself. The next one is another genre that I'm pretty familiar with, and also one that I've actually had a dream that I read. So it's Reina the Fallen by Sarah Glenn Marsh, and this is a female romance fantasy about zombies, I'm pretty sure. This has to do with like bringing people back from the dead. And I am extremely interested in figuring out what this book is exactly about and getting to read it. And especially since it is female romance, I think I'm really going to enjoy it. And like I said, I did have a dream that I read this book, so I think that it's kind of inevitable that I get to it, and I've been eyeballing it for months, trying to push myself to read it, and I think that after reading Crier's War, I am so much more ready and excited to read more sapphic fantasy. The next one on my TBR is Not Even Bones by Rebecca Schaeffer, and I've heard a bunch of people talk about this book. I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure Rhiannon has talked about this book on their booktube channel or somewhere on Twitter. I remember seeing it on their Twitter somewhere. I just can't remember. I'm pretty sure though that it was Rhiannon that got me to buy this book. I'm pretty sure. I want to say, but this one kind of seems to me like Stalking Jack the Ripper with fantasy elements. And I'm really intrigued and excited to read this book. It says betrayal is a bloody business, and I'm pretty sure that this has to do with kind of like a black market situation, and I think her mom and the main character are kind of dealers of monster parts, I don't know. Okay, I am correct. It says, Nita doesn't murder supernatural beings and sell their body parts on the internet. Her mother does that. Okay, so I was correct. I was right. It is about like, kind of like a black market, maybe sort of like a dark web situation with monsters. And I'm just really excited to read this. I know a lot of people who I'm friends with have read this book and liked it, so I think I'm going to enjoy it as well. This one I think is the newest book on this TBR, and it's also another one that a lot of people have been talking about recently, and that's Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin. And I have heard so many good things about this book, and I am just so nervous about reading it. I've also started to recently hear some kind of like mixed reviews about it, so it like kind of makes me even more nervous, but I'm really hoping that I enjoy it. From what I understand, it's about a witch and a witch hunter, and they have to get married. So that's about as much as I know about this book, and I think that's as much as I want to know about this book. So I figured I'd put this book on my TBR because of witches, and I felt like that was kind of a good Halloween element to add in, and I am super excited to read this book. It's a lot thicker than I thought it was going to be, but I'm still super excited about it, and hopefully I really enjoy it. And the next one is one I've actually read half of, and I just didn't finish it. So I'm really excited to read it. And it's House of Furies by Madeline Rowe, and I am just so excited to finish this book because I have the entire series and I can basically just marathon all 3 books. And I'm currently 243 pages into this book, and I have not finished it yet. Not because it's not good, it's really good. I really enjoy this book. It's so atmospheric, the writing is so beautiful and haunting, but I just haven't finished it. I was listening to it on audiobook, so I feel like that might be why. I'm pretty sure I was listening to it on Scribd, and I don't have Scribd anymore, so that's probably why I never finished it. But I'm really excited to, and I already know I'm going to love this book, and I hope that I enjoy the rest of the series as well. Alright, so these are all of the books that are on my kind of spooky TBR, and if you've read any of these books, let me know and tell me what you thought of them. I don't think that I'll be able to finish all of these books by the end of October, but I'm going to try my best, and I've felt a lot more inclined to read recently, so I'm hoping that this will help me out a bit, you know, in that department. And like I said, I've just been really into Halloween this year for some reason. Halloween is usually not my favorite holiday. I typically don't celebrate it at all, and I usually just wait for it to end so I can start celebrating Christmas. But this year, I've had kind of a change of heart. I think it might have to do with the Beetlejuice musical soundtrack, and it's just so good, and I'm loving it so much, and it's really getting me into the Halloween mood. And I also just watched Beetlejuice again today. Like, literally I've watched it twice in the past week, and it's just so good. I love that movie, and the musical is just so good. I can't stop singing it, and I think it's just getting me right into the Halloween mood. So these are the books that I'm going to be reading, and I hope that I enjoy all of them. I'll let you guys know in my vlogs and in my wrap-ups and whatever else I do. But if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Goodreads, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!